Hello gents.
Hi Vic.
So, 18th of March you got announced.
Blimey.
How does it feel to be here now?
Been a long time coming, I suppose. But then again, we've been busy. We've been full on, kind of making our plans and making sure the plans are right, and then putting things into practice. So it doesn't actually seem like it was that long ago that we sat in here, does it?
No, in a strange way, it's given us time to get things right, not just on the pitch in terms of personnel, but off the pitch as well in terms of backroom staff. It's given us a little bit more preparation time than we'd have done if we'd have gone straight into games, because you've been concentrating fully on that. So
yeah,
preparation time has been good.
It has. Yeah, and normally that closed season from April through to when you decide to start pre-season is a bit of a rat race, you know, and it's pressurised, and we kind of had more time to do things and get things right and do things how we wanted to, and there was lots of discussions between the pair of us and how we wanted things to go, but that also allowed us to get the playing staff kind of spot on with how we want it to be for the start of the season. There'll be other changes that perhaps happen further on down the line, or maybe next season, that we've already discussed, but from where we are at the moment, we're kind of ready to go, aren't we?
Yeah, recruitment is obviously a big one for us. You know, we got business done quite early. I think today we've got 7 new players that are starting the game, so that kind of says where we were last season to where we are now in terms of what we're trying to bring into this. And we know we're not a finished article by any stretch of the imagination. We know there's a huge amount to come, but we've been really pleased that the lads who are still here and the new lads have come in, have bought into what we want to do, and that's why we brought them here. And just their application in terms of they've already been in training, how they've kind of bought into what we wanted to do and how we wanted to be in the ethos behind the football club. So, touch wood, everything's gone to plan so far. We've had a good pre-season, but we know that counts for nothing now. This is game day one. You know, I know it starts with the FA Cup, but this is where the real stuff begins.
Yeah. So you got announced, and we can't ignore the big issue that hit the world, the pandemic. How have you faced the challenge of firstly not getting a chance to meet your squad, and then having to keep them motivated during that time up until getting them on the pitch?
Wow, that's exactly the question. That was a difficult thing. You can't gauge a player or gauge someone's personality or character by a text conversation, a phone conversation, a Zoom chat. You just can't do it. So a lot of that had to be done with recommendations from people already within the club, and we had to kind of build a picture of people's character through the information that we were given. And then you start trying to make your own relationships and build your own relationships with people.
And that's very much part of what we do. It's not just about what they do on the field, it's off as well, and their character. That for me and Chris, we've been through it, so we know kind of what type of players we want here, and that was a big part. Yeah,
and we do want the right type of people here. It's something that when we met the chairman for the very first time, we kind of told him that it's not just about getting the right players on the field, it's about having the right characters and the right individuals around the football club, and that's really, really important to us, and surrounding ourselves with people that we want to spend our time with, and the people that we feel are good for Leiston Football Club, you know. And it's not just about someone who might be able to do a job on there but wants absolutely nothing to do with the football club. You know, we want the whole package.
Yeah, I think in a way as well, again, weirdly kind of helped us, because a new team coming in, a new management team, a new staff coming, new players coming in, almost did the job for us in terms of keeping the boys motivated. I think if you'd have had the same squad, same managers, all the same things, perhaps they might have, I don't know, took the foot off the gas a little bit or relaxed a little bit more, you know, out of season when everybody else was in knockdown. But I think the fact that they knew it's new managers, they have to try and impress, they have to make sure they're up for it. In a way, I think it's worked for us, because we got back in early. And they were on it as soon as they got back in. You know, we didn't turn around once and think, you know what, we're going to have a struggle to motivate this lot. No, they were up for it the minute we turned up.
Yeah, we weren't stopping and trying to get our points across to them, or having to increase the intensity. They were there from training session 1, and all right, we were restricted in what we can do because of the government and the FA guidelines with regards to the numbers training and the size groups we could have. But the intensity was there, and they were always ready for the next step. So from that point of view, we couldn't ask for any more than what the lads have given us.
What was it about the challenge of coming to Leiston Football Club that you were looking forward to the most? What was it that made you decide that's our next destination?
Well, I think, look, we're ambitious, both of us anyway. You know, we want to manage higher, whether that's with lacing or without lacing. That sounds a terrible thing to say, but we've ambition to do that. Of course, we want to do absolutely the best we can with lacing and take them as far as we can.
And we fully believe that we can do that.
Yeah.
Fully believe that, but we've always discussed where we'd like to go with regards to football. We're good friends. It's something that we've discussed. It's something, a passion that we do share. We've known each other since I was 16 and Darren was 18. We've been involved in football together for a long time. So, it's something that we have discussed in the past. And we do have ambition. And it was meeting the chairman and sharing Andy and Peter's vision of what they wanted us to do with regards to how they wanted us to make changes at the football club and in the direction that they wanted to go, which kind of shared our vision of what we wanted to do. And we sat at that table there, and we were literally, the stuff that Andy and Peter were talking about were the things that we want to do. So from that point of view, it was almost a really, really good first meeting and first conversation.
It felt right straight away. Sometimes you go into meetings and you have to sell yourself to the football club, but without being prompted, Andy, the chairman, sold the football club to us as well. So we kind of want the same things. We understand where the club had been, and he explained to us where the club's been in the past and how it has been and where they wanted to go, and it fitted exactly where we want to be. And I think I've only got praise for the committee and the Backroom staff that have welcomed us and kind of given us free rein to kind of do what we want in terms of the playing staff, and hopefully we'll see the rewards of that in the future.
The support has been there from day one with regards to that. Everything has been discussed, and we haven't had any problems or any issues along the way. And it was just a really, really easy conversation. And the things that Andy and Peter kind of wanted for the football club were things that we knew that we could bring. That we knew that we could do those relatively smoothly, and then the rest would hopefully just fall into place. And we knew it's not going to be a short-term thing. It's not going to be one season. It's not going to be 2 seasons. It's a build-up process, and we've already started putting really, really good foundations in place. The comments and the feedback we're getting from people all around the football club is really good, and this is just in a very, very short space of time. So we know that over the next 2-3 years we can make more changes, and we can build and we can grow, and we can take the football club to the places that we want to be. So that's kind of where we're at with it.
So there seems to be, certainly from a fan's point of view, a lot of optimism around the club at the moment, without a ball being kicked even before pre-season. What would you put that down to? Would you say it is just a case of new managers coming in, or is it a case of just everything coming together at the right time?
I think first of all, being allowed to do some football again and people coming to watch is a big lift for everybody. I think you realise just how much you miss that, whether your team's playing poorly or not. Just being around it on a weekend is a massive miss for everybody. But I think new managers, new players, it's always the same. It doesn't matter which club you support. When there's changes at the helm and when there's new players coming in, you can't wait for that season to start to see what they've got. I'm no different as a kid. I was a Tottenham supporter, so every time they sign new players, he's over Tottenham supporter. So when they sign new players or new management come in, you couldn't wait to get to see it. And even now, when you're watching football again, it doesn't matter what level it's at. You see new players, transfers, and moving around. You kind of want to get going and see what it's all about. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. I think players and fans and everybody coming to support the football club want to see what we've got, and they'll see things done the right way. As Chris has said, we're under no illusions where we finished last season. Thankfully, COVID come along and stopped the season when it did, because it could have ended one way with relegation. They managed to stay up in the end, which is great. And Glenn did his job when he came back in to keep them up. So, we get the opportunity to then manage in this league. So we're thankful for that. And I think for us it is consolidation in this league. But one thing we will make sure we have is those boys will be fired up for every single game, and you will get everything out of them. And I think fans watching would always say, that's all we can ever ask. Is that attitude and application on the football pitch, and I guarantee with me and Chris in charge, you'll get that.
I think the thing is that whether you grassroots, amateur, semi-professional, whatever you want to call it, I think fans have to be heavily involved in the football club for the football club to be sustainable and successful. Now, this is the case here. I get that, and I think the fans are very demanding here, which is what you want. You want the fans to drive you on. So I think the fans have a certain right to a certain expectation level from us, from the players and from the football club, and we're fully prepared to take that burden on, and that's it's no pressure to us because they're the standards that we set ourselves. So
we have expectations of ourselves, and that's which are probably higher than maybe where the fans are looking at in the next few years. We have aspirations to keep going up the leagues, and that's where we want to be. So we match that as much as the fans do. So of course their optimism and their enthusiasm for the season is more than matched by what we want to do with it. And to say, we know it'll take a bit of time, but I think fans will see a clear difference in the way the club is structured, first of all, behind the scenes, and how it's moving forward compared to what it has been perhaps in its recent past. And then who knows what the future holds. But as I said, I guarantee that me and Chris will be 100% throwing ourselves into it, and as I said, the players will be 1,000,000% throwing themselves into it, because we will not let that drop.
And it's been noticeable that you're very keen on developing youth. We've got on average, quite a young squad. But beyond that, you've been seen at reserve games, watching the games, and you've been seen interacting with the youth squads once they've come to training after the senior squads. How important is that to you and your plans going forward?
Well, I think from my point of view, I've been through that process at a pro club, so I understand how I was treated coming off the ranks as a youngster, and the opportunities that I was given into reserve football and first team football at a young age, and just how important it was for me to be in and around that at a younger age than that. So that is, and Chris was the same, he's in the youth team in Norwich, and he understands the process.
But I think we also saw a difference. Darren saw the full progression from schoolboy through youth team, probably gone from youth team straight to first team. Yourself did, with a small spell in the reserves, and I was kind of more through the schoolboy sides, the youth team, involvement with the reserves, but then that was it. Then I kind of fell into this sort of standard of football. So we've got a unique viewpoint on it. We know the importance of young players coming through and what a young player can do to a side with regards to confidence and no fear in certain aspects on the pitch. But also the progression is massively important with players coming through. A football club's not going to be sustainable without quality young players coming through, and also young players don't develop at the same stage, so they need the support and guidance and a little bit of belief given to them from all their coaches or management or first team managers and everyone around the club to feel welcome and wanted and appreciated, so that they can actually deliver on the football pitch to their full potential, because you're not going to deliver as a young player unless you're feeling comfortable.
And mentally as well, youth team football, reserve team football, well, perhaps not reserve team football, but youth team and below, even under 23s football, it's very much, there's a change room where you go into, you listen to your coach, you go out and play a game, you come in, you listen to the coach. You can't learn any senior level unless you're in it, and you don't know if you're good enough for it until you get in it. You can technically be the greatest player in the world, but actually mentally can you deal with being around senior football? So that's why it's important that these youngsters get a sniff of that, to understand it at a younger age, rather than being such a shock when they do come up and they're older, because you think we've got this great player coming through, you stick him in the first team and he can't handle the noise and the kind of the atmosphere of a senior changing room. It's massively different, completely different. So the more we can give them in terms of experiences and just understanding that, when they do come through, they're either thinking, I want some more of that, or they're thinking, I'm not quite ready for it. And that will give us an early sign as to their progression, not just technically in their football, but also mentally, are they ready?
And actually, if it wasn't have been for having to field 3 senior sides today, we would have had a 16-year-old on the bench today in the FA Cup. And it was just about juggling the players that we've got available to us with regards to availability from birthdays from young players. Some of them aren't 16 yet, some of the players that potentially are going to be playing in the A side. Ryan needed a good squad to go travel to Fakenham today. We needed to field certain players in our squad today, but we'd also penciled in a young promising 16-year-old, and his opportunity was probably cut short by the need to spread the players a little bit thinner, wasn't it? But that's something that will happen. We've kind of said, well, okay, we'll put the halters on it today because we've got to field 3 sides, but the next time this happens we'll be better prepared for it, and that young 16-year-old or the next 16, 17-year-old will be given an opportunity to get in the dressing room and sample the feelings and the emotions of what's going to happen out there today and gain some massive experience from it.
Yeah. So looking at the signings you made so far in the close season, some very exciting young players who've come through, some making the step up. How much, or is this a sign of your intention of style of play for the season? Is this a signal of how you want to play? We're looking at players like Finley Barnes, who's a very young, exciting prospect. Liam Jackson's goal ratio is incredible, wherever he's been. you've got Matty Richardson, Matty Wilkinson,
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Eaton Collins,
Yeah.
all very young, hungry, determined players. How does this reflect on how you want your team to play this year?
I think the thing is we kind of looked at it and spoke quite a fair bit, didn't we, about wanting young, hungry players on the way up, rather than players that are probably at the top plateauing or even on their way down. I think it was a very easy decision for us to kind of go in this direction. Now, that means that we're going into a really, really competitive physical league with relatively inexperienced players at this level, players that aren't physically developed to the levels that they perhaps need to be, but over the next 2 years they're going to get a real grounding of football at this level, both physically and mentally. But we believe we've targeted really, really strong players, both physically and mentally and ability-wise, who can handle the pressures that are going to be put upon them with regards to some of the tackles they're going to receive and some of the stuff that they're going to have to deal with mentally in order to succeed at this level. But that was a clear kind of choice for us. It was a direction that we decided to go in, because from things, people that we've spoke to, we've kind of taken a little bit of leaf out of some of the things that Kings Lynn have done over the last few years, and seen the progression that they've made with some really, really talented young players. So there is very much a conscious decision, yeah, but I think the proof's going to be in the pudding, and we know we've got a bit of work to do with regards to adding the experience ourselves, what we can put across.
I think if you're good enough, you're old enough in terms of technical ability. You know, physicality of the game is there, but then you have to learn how to use your body better in the game. I'm 5'8". I'm 5'8". I'm 5'8", 11 and a half stone. So but I played in the Premier League, and it wasn't an issue to me physically. Yeah. But it's more that mental side. Can they deal with it mentally? And we know actually, again, in terms of our recruitment, we knew what type of lads we were recruiting in terms of their mental capacity. Could they be able to handle that? And I think they can, and they understand that. But as Chris has said, what we lack perhaps on the pitch in terms of experience, you've got it on the sidelines. So we're going to be working our backsides off to make sure we're putting across on the sidelines and almost guiding lads through games at times to make sure we're giving our experience of how to get through a game, because they might not quite have it on the field. But
and that's not a coaching style that we'd perhaps recommend, commentating and having to put some of your experience across in the way you deal with certain things, because you want players to develop those skills themselves. But we're going to have to, between myself, Darren and Norths, and Dave as well, we are going to have to give them our experience and kind of guide them a little bit more closely. But if we want to get results and we want to progress the players, and we don't want to hold anyone back. We want the Finley Barnes of this world, and the Liam Jacksons and the Wilkies and the two Richardson boys. We want these guys to progress and use this as a stepping stone, because that's a good advert for the football club. We want people to say, actually, look at what happened to those guys, 2 years at Leiston, and look where they went. That's going to be a massive thing for us to attract players who think, well, I want to progress, I want to play higher than step 3, I want to play higher than step 2. So those players are going to want to come here and play for us and be involved with this football club, because they'll see progression. Yeah. So, I only see it as a positive, only a positive.
I mean, we talk about progression and rebuilding. One of the things that has been rebuilt is the backroom staff on the first team. One of the most exciting news we've had was North's coming back to the club.
Not that exciting.
Well, for the fans, I believe it was, and the chairman was certainly excited when he gave him the call.
Yeah. He spoke Ripshire, didn't he?
Yeah, so I mean, quite a lot of experience there. Dave Williams as well, helping with the fitness. How important has that group been to you two as a support?
Well, it takes the pressure off us in terms of training and stuff, so we can concentrate on the management side first of all. To have someone the experience of Norths is fantastic, and we'd heard about Norths and his interest and our interest in him obviously before he came over. And I'm sure I can speak for Chris as well. The first session where he's in, without doubt, he thinks like us, he talks like us, he sees the game the way we do, he wants the same progressions. As much as we talked about to Peter and to Andy about it in pre-season, it was the same at Norths, and you just know straight away. And Dave was the same. Dave Williams, he's in terms of the organisation that Dave does behind the scenes, which people know about, is unbelievable. So they both deserve huge credit, and added massively, and as does Ryan in the reserve team manager as well. Because he understands our progressions, he knows what his job is.
I've been speaking to other managers and other friends of mine, and sometimes you can have a coach or a reserve manager or another part of your staff involved in the football club that is there because you need someone to fill that role, but not everyone gets along. Whereas actually, like you just said, from day one, North's coming in, he said to us just this week, he had a really, really good feeling about it from the moment he met us both and from the first training session. And that relationship has just grown and grown to the fact that, me and Darren have known each other years. Ryan, we've worked with Ryan at our previous football club and we've both known Ryan for a number of years. So, that kind of friendship and bond was already there. But even with Norths and Dave, we kind of I met back in March, and Norths has been here since the start of pre-season. But already, that relationship is growing, and we're all on the same page, we're all on the same wavelength. So it's not just a case of someone coming in to do a role because that role needs to be filled. It's actually someone coming in who is the right person and we want to work with, and we all share exactly the same kind of ideas and views on football and the football club, not just out there on the pitch, but on what we want for the football club. And it goes back to the type of players that we want and the type of individuals that we want to work with. So that fits absolutely spot on. So the chairman was right and Dave was right, and the football club should have a buzz about Norths being involved. They should have a buzz about Ryan being involved, should have a buzz about Dave and Shane as well with regards to what he's added with the goalkeeping coaching. So absolutely, there should be a buzz about it because we're really happy with the team that we've put together.
Yeah. So, lighter questions before we wrap up. I read an article.
Cheers. Sorry.
I read an article this week where I'd read, Darren, that you hadn't planned to go into coaching and managing. We were talking about the relationship between the two just now and people that you work with, and that you, if it wasn't for working with Chris, that you probably wouldn't have ventured in, maybe at least at this point. Have you ever had a disagreement in football terms, and how has that been handled? Who calls the shots? Who's the boss?
Well, that's the thing. It's weird because it's generally said we're both just thinking the same thing. One of us will text something and we'll go, do you know what, I was thinking exactly the same thing. Yeah. So it is kind of weird, a bit strange to say it, but we do think alike when it comes to the football. As much as we're different personalities and we have different styles in the changing rooms, we played in very different positions. Actually, our thoughts about the processes, what we're going through, and even about players is the same. Yeah. I don't think we've ever...
to be fair, you can't just say in football, I don't think we've had a real fallout in over 20 odd years.
No. Oh, wow.
No. Well, we might soon.
Yeah.
But we haven't. That's kind of the relationship we've got. We are friends. We do consider each other to be more like brothers than friends. So there is a real good bond there. So there doesn't need to be one person who calls the shots because we're both bang on the same wavelength. We both bring different styles and different strengths, and I'll talk differently to the players in the dressing room to what you do, and we play certain roles.
He swears a lot. Right?
Yeah. This interview is a struggle for me not to swear because I'm that close to the pitch.
One of his team songs, so I was pumped up afterwards. I wasn't even playing.
That was a 2. We haven't even got to a 10 yet.
That's a pre-season friendly. Wait till you see when he's at it. Look, it's been an easy fit for us.
Yeah.
We've known each other a long time, and getting whenever we have discussions about stuff, we generally come to the same answers. It works out like that. We both put points across, and then naturally, then one generally sees the sense of the other one. We come to the right decision. Yeah. There's never anything. Well, I still don't disagree. I still disagree.
Even if we come with totally different viewpoints on a rare occasion, from having a chat about it, it's like actually, that's right. Either one of us can be talked around or can have a conversation where you're actually let's go with it because you trust each other's judgment. That's what it boils down to.
And that's the way the relationship works, because with my media commitments, I'm not here every week, so I know the football club's in good hands in Chris, which is why we come as a joint management partnership. That's the way it was for that reason. That we know we'll be talking all during the week, we'll be discussing things, and then whatever comes out on Saturday, whether I'm here on occasion or not, it's still the same message. It's still the same. We've had the chats during the week. It's still the same thing, and I guarantee
the build-up has still been the same.
Yeah, and I guarantee on the sidelines that the same actions would have been asked, the same questions would have been asked of the players. Things develop in the game, same decisions would be made, same substitutes would be made. It's very much a double process, but actually, either one of us together we're not here, actually you'd get the same outcome anyway.
Yeah.
So
but actually it's an advantage, because sometimes you can be blinkered to things.
Massively.
Sometimes you can miss something. You know, you can make a mistake. You know, but actually you've got the other guy.
You forgot to name one of the subs the other week.
Oh.
You've got his name.
Yeah, I did in the dressing room. In the dressing room, I did. But
Oh, brilliant! Luckily you were there.
So I do make mistakes.
I forgot as well. We asked him later. It's fine. He didn't notice.
Yeah,
It's
he
all right.
didn't. But you know, you do make mistakes. So for the other one to be able to pick you up on it,
Yeah.
actually, you know, I just saw them, didn't I?
Yeah.
He'll pick me up on a spelling or
Yeah.
a word that I've made up. Or
Yeah.
a word
He does that a lot.
Or I might swear in the middle of a
And
word.
he'll say COVID instead of COVID.
Oh, brilliant!
Honestly.
Right, you need to wrap this up, because I'm going to start swearing.
So just nearly there. Do you guys ever switch off? Being friends in and outside of football, friends in life. Does the football ever end?
No, I think every conversation that we have now, well, probably for a long period when we've been involved in football together, is always football related, whether it's Leiston, whether it's Premier League, whether it's local football, whether it's my son's football, you know, when your son was playing, you know, so there's always a football element to it, because that's a passion that we both share.
We share life as well though, so you know, in terms of our families and things that are going on in our lives, we're very open with each other, so we do switch off from football, we talk about everything. And we certainly know how to let our hair down when we want to, so get a few results under our belt. We'll probably see that a little bit as well.
Those that know you, final question, those that know you or have met you recently at the club, we all know, or we've been pleasantly surprised, you know, wonderful, down to earth
Surprised?
men. Well, you know, I've sort of
grown ass Eadie, aren't you?
but you just, you know, you just you never know. There's a personality, and then you meet them, and usually you could be disappointed to meet your idol sometimes. But
it's Chris Wigger.
It's been the opposite. I think I've not crossed anybody that's got anything else to say except for how down to earth you both are, how friendly you both are, how in touch you are with everyone, and how ambitious you are, and how infectious that has been.
Well, that's our point, but then we hope that comes across to the players, because that's important to understand that our heart and souls are in it, and if the management team are willing to put themselves out there and show that, there's no reason the players shouldn't. You know, you wouldn't ask our players to do something we wouldn't do, and how we wouldn't be. So I think it's important that the players see that from us, to make sure that when we do start digging them out, you know, there's a reason we do it. You can't say, well, you're not doing it.
You can't have a manager or a managers swanning around with a chip on their shoulder, with an arrogance. You know, we're all here for the same reasons. We're all here to progress the football club. And and the same as the points we'll get across to the players. You know, individual players might have a good performance, or they might score a good goal, but they don't win football matches. They don't win leagues. They don't get you promoted. They don't win trophies. You know, the team does. So yeah, we've got a team that's in the dressing room that represents the football club out there, but we've also got a team that does what you do, and does what you guys do, works behind the bar. The team that are here setting up now at 11:30, 12 o'clock, when we're kicking off at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and we'll still be here after we've gone. So if we're not all on the same wavelength and talking to each other and chatting and being involved in these things together and being approachable, then what's the point? Then you're going to look to that manager or look to those people walking in at 1:30 on a Saturday and think, well, yeah, look at you. You know, you don't want to be involved in all of this. And why should I work for you? Why should I go the extra mile for you at home and take the work home with me? Which everyone does, which we do appreciate. So you know, that's why you have to be like that.
Yeah.
And we're generally good guys.
Very good guy. Any message to the fans? Anything you'd like to
just keep supporting us. Keep supporting us. Stick with us. You know, we might not always get it right, or it might not always be to your liking, but it's got the club's best interests at heart. And you know, it's not going to be a smooth ride. It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster with regards to particularly the first season, but we'll get it right. We're ambitious. We won't fail. It will happen.
Absolutely. Come on the Blues.
Yeah.
Can't believe I'm saying that.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Fist bump.
No worries.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.